to lesson 82. This is called the greatest common factor. Now it is exactly what it is. It is the greatest factor that two numbers will have in common. Now we've already learned previously, quite a while ago, what factors are. And factors are numbers that are being multiplied together to equal a product. So if I were to find factors of 6, I know 1 times 6 is 6, so 1 and 6 are factors of 6. You will always have 1 and the number itself. And I know 2 times 3 is also 6. So 1, 2, 3, and 6 are all factors of 6. Now, we call the greatest common factor, we can abbreviate it as GCF. So whenever I say the GCF, that's going to be the greatest common factor. So GCF, greatest common factor. You should write this definition down. The greatest common factor is the largest whole number that is a factor of both numbers. So we already know how to list factors. You actually know how to do all of these steps. We're just kind of putting it all together. So the factors of 12, if I were to list them, are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. Because 3 times 4 is 12, 2 times 6 is 12, and 1 times 12 is 12. The factors of 18 are 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 18. We start in the middle. 3 times 6 is 18, 2 times 9 is 18, and 1 times 18 is 18. So that's how we find our factors. So we're going to go ahead and do example 1. I want you to actually go ahead and try this on your own to see what you can do by yourself. Find the greatest common factor of 8 and 20. I'll go ahead and do 8 over here. Let's see, I know 1 is always going to be a factor. 2, yes, because it's even. 2 is a factor of 8. 3 is not, but 4 is. 2 and 4 are right next to each other. They're partners, so now I know my last factor is actually going to be 8. So 1, 2, 4, and 8 are factors of 8. Now 20, I know 1 is always a factor, 2 is because 20 is even, 3 is not, but 4 is, and 5 is. 4 and 5 both equal 20. They're right next to each other in my list. So now I need 2 times 10 is 20, and 1 times 20 is 20. So those are my factors of 8 and 20. I have 1, 2, 4, 8. 1, 2, 4, 5, 10, 20. Now example 2 goes off of example 1. It says use the GCF, which is the greatest common factor, of 8 and 20 to reduce 8 twentieths. Now back to example 1, because I actually did not circle the greatest common factor, I just listed my factors. So I'm going to just circle, let's see, the ones that they have in common. I have 1, obviously will be a factor of every number. 2 is also a factor of both. 4 is a factor of both, and actually it does not continue on because 8 is my last one here, and 8 is not a factor of 20, so I'm going to circle that in a different color, since that is actually my greatest common factor of both 8 and 20 is 4. So it says in example 2 to use the GCF, which is 4, of 8 and 20 to reduce 8 twentieths. Now we are going to be getting into, or we've already gotten into reducing. So using the GCF of 8 and 20 to reduce, I'm going to write 8 twentieths, and I'm going to reduce it, meaning I'm just going to make the terms smaller than they actually are, but the value will still stay the same. So I'm going to divide by 1, a form of 1, and that is actually going to look like 4 fourths. If I divide by 4 fourths, which is the greatest common factor, still equals 1 because it's one whole fraction, same numerator, same denominator. I'm going to just divide straight across. 8 divided by 4, at least when I'm reducing, we divide straight across. Some of you have already learned how, those of you in Math Olympics have already learned how to divide fractions, but when we reduce and I'm just dividing by 1, then I can go straight across. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 20 divided by 4 is 5. So 8 twentieths equals 2 fifths. So that's how I use my greatest common factor of 8 and 20 in order to reduce. Now, I can actually reduce in other ways, but using the greatest common factor helps me to do it in one step. If I were to look at 8 and 20 and say, I know both of them are even, I'll try dividing by 2. Then I would have 4/10. Well, they're still even, so I'd have to divide again in order to reduce it to its lowest possible terms. So that's why finding the greatest common factor makes it a lot more easy, helps us find the shortcuts. So for the practice set, you're going to do letters A, B, C, and D we will go over in class. And there, of course, is more practice set problems that we will do together in class and check for understanding. So for each of these, you're just going to find the greatest common factor of each pair. That's all you're going to do for each. So yes, you will need to list all of the factors of each number and then circle which is the greatest common factor or underline it so that I know which is the greatest one. All right, I will check for participation for your notes as well as the practice set problems. Thank you very much for listening and paying attention.